One of the most shocking moves of this offseason was when Jim Knowles left Penn State to become their defensive coordinator after being Ohio State's DC for the past couple of years, being one of the best, if not the best, defensive mind in the sport during his time in Columbus. And when Ryan Day made the decision to replace Jim Knowles with Matt Patricia to be his new defensive coordinator, it was a move that not only was surprising, but at the time, it didn't really make a lot of sense. But I got a theory as to why Ohio State felt comfortable making the transition to Matt Patricia at DC. And it's going to sound a little bit out there at first, but when you think of it, it makes tons of sense why Ryan Day wanted Matt Patricia to be his new defensive coordinator. Because when Michigan first started dominating Ohio State 4 years ago, they had Mike Macdonald as their new defensive coordinator at the time. And Mike Macdonald was an NFL-level defensive coordinator. He did a really good job once he left Michigan to become the Ravens defensive coordinator, and he now is the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. And when Mike Macdonald left Michigan for Baltimore, who did they get to replace him? Jesse Mentor, who also is a NFL-level defensive coordinator. And Jesse Mentor had some of the best defenses in all of college football during his time as Michigan's defensive coordinator. And he did a fantastic job calling the Chargers defense last year, which ranked second in points per game allowed, and his first season under Jim Harbaugh at the NFL level calling players on that side of the ball. And when Jim Harbaugh took Jesse Mentor with him to the NFL, when Sharon Moore got Michigan's head coaching job, who did he hire as his defensive coordinator? Wink Martindale, another NFL-level defensive coordinator who is one of the more respected defensive coordinators from the National Football League. And with these three defensive coordinators that Michigan has had over the last couple of years, when they've dominated Ohio State, they've had a lot of success of slowing down Ryan Day's offense. They've given Ohio State's offense a bunch of fits. So now with Jim Knowles leaving to go to Penn State, Ryan Day felt it was the perfect opportunity for Ohio State to steal a play out of Michigan's playbook and get a NFL-level defensive coordinator of their own and Matt Patricia. And there are split opinions about Matt Patricia. He did a phenomenal job the majority of the years that he was the Patriots defensive coordinator under Bill Belichick. He coached some really fantastic defenses, but when he became the head coach of the Detroit Lions, his defenses were less to be desired. But some guys are just good as coordinators, and they're not cut out to be head coaches. Matt Patricia is one of those guys that he was good because of the supervision of Bill Belichick. And Ryan Day is a good enough coach that his defense is not going to go off the deep end because of Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia is a really bright and brilliant defensive mind. He knows how to run a bunch of different schemes, and he's going to be able to get the most out of a hybrid player like a Caleb Downs, because he still runs a similar scheme with similar philosophies to what Bill Belichick does. And Bill Belichick loves defensive backs that have the kind of versatility that Caleb Downs have. You can play him in the slot. You can play him near the line of scrimmage. You can play him single high, two high. There's just so many different things that you can do with Caleb Downs in your defense. And with the kind of talent that Matt Patricia is going to be inheriting at Ohio State, is going to make him having a lot more easier of a time coaching up this side of football, because there's going to be a huge talent advantage that Ohio State's going to have just anyway with how well they recruit. So when you see Ryan Day hiring Matt Patricia, it wasn't a move that was made out of desperation. This was more of a calculated move that Ryan Day felt is going to help Ohio State turn the tables on Michigan again. Because Michigan has had three NFL-level defensive coordinators. Jim Knowles isn't really a NFL-style defensive coordinator. We've never really seen him coach defense in the NFL. We know that he's a good college defensive coordinator. So if there was ever a time for Ohio State to kind of pivot to something new and kind of get their feet wet on the NFL level of things, Matt Patricia was a really good addition to them. Because when you see the success that Michigan has had with these NFL-style defensive coordinators, Ryan Day gets an epiphany. He says, you know what? If they're going to beat us with this, we're going to use this as well to try to help start beating them again. So getting Matt Patricia was more so motivated by Michigan. Michigan influenced Ohio State to hire Matt Patricia because of the success that they've had with similar defensive coordinators from the NFL ranks that have been able to slow down this potent Ohio State offense. So Ohio State normally averages like 35, 40 points per game against most of the teams that they play against. When they go up against Michigan, though, their offense is not as effective because you're going up against some of the most brilliant minds that are able to kind of give Ohio State a little bit of fits because of their NFL backgrounds. And it took Michigan hiring a defensive coordinator with an NFL background for this rivalry to start shifting in their favor. Now Ohio State says, we're going to use the same thing that you used to dominate us for 4 years in a row, and we're going to get our own NFL guy. And that's why Ryan Day made the decision to hire Matt Patricia as his new defensive coordinator.